We are now going to set up a virtual host on Windows. If your Apache module is running, then simply stop it. So click on Stop button. Then go to Start, All Programs, Accessories, and right-click on Notepad. Then select Run as Administrator. We need to run Notepad as administrator because we want to change some files which require administrator privileges. In this dialog, simply click Yes, and now our Notepad is open and we are running this as administrator. So go to File, Open, we go to C Drive, XAMPP, then we go Apache, Conf, and Extra. You can see these folders here. So if I'm a little bit too fast, then simply check this path here. Okay, now we don't see any files here because we've got text documents only selected from the dropdown. So select all files, and now you can see we've got quite a few files, configuration files here. We are interested in this httpd-v host, so select it and click on Open. Before you start modifying this file, create a new directory on your desktop and call it PHP course. This is where our project files will be stored. Now, inside of this file, I'm just going to expand it a little bit this way. What we are going to do first, you can see this name virtual host with 2 hashes at the beginning. We're going to remove them. These hashes basically are commenting the line. So if it's commented, obviously it's not going to be executed whenever the file is fetched. After all this, at the bottom, if we scroll down, you can see we've got 2 blocks of code which is also commented with virtual host. So we're going to copy one of them and create our own new virtual host. So we copy all this and paste it underneath, just paste, and uncomment these tags virtual host. We can remove these 2 lines. We only going to leave document root and server name. We don't need the server admin here either. Let's uncomment these as well. And I'm just going to go to full view, create a few new lines so it goes up a little bit. Okay, and now the directory, again, I'm going to minimize it for the time being. Let's open this PHP course because I need to get the path to this file. So just click within this path bar here. As you can see, it shows me the entire path to this specific folder. So now just copy. We can close this file, go back to our notepad, and the first thing we're going to do is to replace the XAMPP, htdocs, and so on, basically with this path to our directory. So paste over it. As you can see, this whole path has now replaced the default value. And for the server name, we are going to use the domain name we want to use. You can make it up to be absolutely anything you want. You can even use ssdtutorials.com if you want to, and it's going to point eventually to this directory on your local machine. But I'm going to use, for this specific course, we are going to use php course.dev. So this is going to be our domain, which we're going to use within the browser window. And then after this, I'm going to create a new block of tags, a new tag, basically directory. And then we are going to use the same path as we've just used for the document root. And what we're doing with this, we're saying this specific directory, we want to give it specific permissions. So directory, the closing one, with, as you can see, the / at the beginning this time. And in between these 2 tags, we are going to type require all granted. And now we can obviously increase this indentation to make sure everything is in one line. If you want more virtual host, then simply create another block like this. You can copy this entire block, paste it underneath, and create another domain, whatever you want to call it. You don't have to even have extension, nothing. It's basically the string you're going to type in the browser that is going to point to your directory. But for now, we are done. So I'm just going to close this, save this file. We're not going to close it because I still want to use Notepad in order to edit another file with administrative privileges. So rather than closing it, I'm simply going to File, Open. And now what I'm going to do is to navigate to C Drive again. Then we're going to go to Windows and then System32. So if we scroll down the folder System32, after this one, drivers, which is a little bit lower down here, drivers, and then we have EDC, and hosts file, which again we need to select all files from a drop down. And if we open this host file now, one thing we need to do now is basically add the IP address, which is for the local host, which is this 127.0.0.1. So it's 1.2. We're gonna just simply type 127.0.0.1, and then we give our domain name, the new virtual host domain name, basically, so which was phpcourse.dev. That tells our computer that this specific domain is pointing to the local host, because 127.0.0.1 is our local host, our local machine, basically. We can now save and close the file. So save, and if we close the notepad altogether, now we can start Apache web server. And before we go any further, let's go to start and open Notepad without administrative privileges now. So if we just open Notepad like that, and let's type in just hello with the exclamation mark or anything else you might think of. Now we're going to File, Save As, and we are going to save this file, if we go to our desktop, to our PHP course directory, which is just here. So we select this folder, and rather than text documents, we are going to select all files, and we're going to call it index.html. Actually, rather than HTML, it's called PHP. And if we save it there, now if we close the notepad, open our browser and simply type phpcourse.dev. And there we go. As you can see, this specific virtual host, because this domain doesn't actually exist as such, it's just made up domain name, is now pointing to our PHP course, and it did open the file with the PHP extension. Obviously, there's no PHP code inside of this file, but when we're going to be going through the remaining chapters of this specific course, we are going to be putting a lot of PHP files with the PHP code, which will also be processed accordingly.